summit, second Super Soldier Summit, and I'm very pleased to meet you.
I'm pleased to meet you too.
And you've got a lot of talent.
Thank you.
And you've met many things, you're very spiritually.
Yes, I'm very, very spiritual. That's my everyday life.
So, what brings you to this Super Soldier Summit?
A lot of things that happened to me since I was young, and a lot of things I'm aware of involving the government and how everything is made to look like everything's normal, but it's not. There's a lot of underlying things going on that is not normal, and the public isn't aware of it, and they're asleep to these things. And I wanted to come and converse with others like myself and speak with others like myself, because I don't think that right this instant we can too much. Society is starting to wake up, but this instant not so much, so kind of lonely. So it's also like, for me, it's something that I'm with other people like me partly. So I would say that the minds of society are closed off to the higher self, and their heart chakras are closed off to the higher source. And we are starting to live in a society where it's more robotic oriented or AI oriented. This just hasn't begun in this century, but that was a long time ago. It happened on other planets. This presence, it seems to be a presence that is very dark. I wouldn't say evil, because I don't believe in evil, but I would say it was a more of an advanced intelligence presence that absorbs energy for its survival, and it's done this to many previous planets. And this instant, Earth is in peril of the same thing that happened to the other planets. If you look above, I used to often tell people, you can tell what's going to happen to Earth by looking at the stars. You look at the barren planets, because it's happened to it before. They were all populated and very beautiful before all this began, actually. And the same energy has went from planet to planet, absorbing all the life force out of it, to the very point that the planet is barren, and it's doing the same thing to Earth this instant. And people on Earth are in amnesia to what's happening. They don't understand what's happening, and they're incarnating over and over and over and being used as energy sources. And they're being used as energy sources. And if they try to literally go higher in vibration, or they start getting attacked by this presence, I'm not sure how to explain this presence in terms, in human words. It's something that I sense and see. I would say I'm still trying to figure out about it. It could be advanced AI, from what I understand. It's emotionless. It has no empathy. It has no feelings. It doesn't care. It just simply absorbs energy and uses it for its purposes needed. Now, the reason for absorbing energy is it can go to higher realms. This is how the realms work. The less energy, the lower realms. The higher the energy, the higher the realms. Now, what it has done is it's been able to absorb energy and move into higher realms where it shouldn't be this instant. And whenever it's using humanity partly for that. I feel like humanity is locked up on Earth, and they're being used for energy sources for this to also, not only has it taken over planets and absorbed the energy from planets, I feel it's trying to go into the higher realms also, to also pretty much wreak havoc on all the higher realms. Now, what I'm getting at is that the fact that Earth, literally this instant, is a prison for people on Earth, and they are not even aware of it. And everything is encoded, and when you start to wake up, you understand this.
Way are things encoded?
You know what? It's simple. Even in words, like take a look at the word soldier. You have the word sold in it. You have the word red in it, like red alert. You also have the word die in it, and other things. Everything's encoded. If you just take a look, everything is encoded. The word soldier, it's encoded. It has the word sold in it. Selling your soul, your soul energy, your energy, your chi. It also has red in it, red alert. It also has the word die in it. So everything is encoded in such a way that it's right there, but it doesn't seem dangerous. Yet, however, it is right there in front of you. Everything is encoded.
Is there a need for this to be in your face? In that it's
there is.
It's obvious, but only confusing.
There's a need because this is the rule of the universe. You have to know whether subconsciously or consciously what's going on always. So either you are going to become aware and you're going to become aware of these things and understand that there's this force working that way, or you're going to stay asleep and just be like, I want to live in a normal world. And the world is not normal. There's something massively wrong with the world.
What is wrong with this planet?
First of all, I can tell you that there are millions of children that disappear every year. Where are these children going? They're not, I mean, they used to say, oh, they're doing child exportation to Africa. Africa obviously would be white by this time with all these children disappearing. I look around, you know, I travel a lot and there's children disappearing all the time. I go small towns and there's literally hundreds of children all the time gone. I see papers everywhere. Where are these children going? That's the thing. Humanity is also being raped. Their children are being taken away from them, and they're being used for their energy and everything. I have a memory of an underground place where they take all of these children, and they literally take their energy from them. And because
how do they do that? What base was it?
I'm not quite sure what base it was. I remember waking up and I could look across and there was literally hundreds of cages. And there was children, small children in these cages. And they were all attached. And there was where they were getting electric shocks. So they were in such tremendous pain that they were really tremendous pain.
How did you get into the base? How did you get out?
I'm not quite sure. But anyhow, they were testing also the children to see which ones would survive. So you had to survive this, and thousands would die like this every day. But I remember there was a lady dressed as a witch, and she was walking back and forth through the corridor, and I was being electric shocked, and I could feel her absorbing the energy from all of the children. Now it was a darker energy because obviously the children were being tortured. She's absorbing the energy from the children, and I survived it, but a lot of the children in there didn't survive it.
When was this? What age were you when this happened?
I was like 7 years old when this happened.
You were one of those children?
I was one of the children that survived the electric shocks. Now they had done this not only to absorb the energy, but to see which ones would, because they had other experiments. They wanted to see which children would survive this and not break up. So essentially, I would see the witch, and she would take the energy. She was gathering the energy from the children, and then the bodies would be dragged out at the end. I was still attached. When it was finished, I was still attached. I was in tremendous pain, and I was sort of out of my body, but I could hear and I could see, but it was like a far away sort of thing because I was disassociated really bad. And I saw them. When they stopped, they started taking the children that had died. There was so many, hundreds of children had died because it was a huge, huge, huge place. Hundreds of children had died. And they were in small metal cages, by the way, just small metal cages. Almost like maybe you whenever you go into a chicken coop or something, you have those small little cages. I would say that, but in a grand scale, with the cage was just not very big. It was out of metal and you were attached like this. And what happened, it would be like, in the end, they were taking the dead bodies out of the children. And then I remember that I could hear them speaking, and they were going to take this energy and they were going to put it on in food. They were going to throw this dark energy on food. So whoever eats the food would also be, they would be charmed, and they would be energetically, parasitically linked, and they would be depressed and all sorts of. This energy works on the negative emotions. It absorbs it. It likes it.
Are they also pushing this energy into the earth itself?
They're pushing this energy into the earth itself also, and into the water. That's the pollution of the water. Everybody knows that the human body is made mostly up of water. Well, it's programmable. Water's programmable. The thing is if you mess with the water and pollute the water, and then the people drink that, or it rains down, or they swim in it, or they get in it, obviously it has an effect on them, and lots of different effects on them. So they're trying to do is they're trying to pretty much pollute everybody in the world to where they don't know what's going on anymore, even the few awakened one, and they need to absorb these negative emotions.
Polluting the life force of the earth.
Yes. They're polluting the life force of the earth, and they're absorbing, they're like, that's the whole beehive thing. They are absorbing energy from the core of the earth like bees. That's the whole beehive thing that you hear all.
Bees are dying.
There you go. The way this energy works is the entities is like a beehive, and the earth is an energy source, and they're like bees to it. They go and collect like a flower, let's say per se a flower, they go and collect the energy from that. And then they try to pollute it, and they're trying to change the polarities of the earth from positive to negative.
When you're changing the energy or the polarities of the earth, does that not mean that you're actually destroying Mother Nature?
You are destroying Mother Nature. This energy, it's in lower realms, and it wants to be in these realms. It needs energy to stay here. It constant energy, so it has to do that to stay here. Otherwise, if its energy source stops, it's pulled back down into the lower realms. So it has to do that. However, it's realized that this is not enough. That's why it's trying to go in higher realms by using the energy of humanity and trying to surfing up in higher realms with that.
Are you talking about the black goo?
Yes, I'm talking about the black goo.
Can you tell us what you know about the black goo? Because you've experienced it directly.
Okay, what I know about the black goo is it started as I remember, I think my first memory of this is, first memory of the black goo would be when I was smaller, but this is probably the most, in my mind, the most deep or heart-touching memory I have is that I was in space and I could see this black goo or this black smoke encompass Earth and all of the Milky Way system. It just like smoke encompass it.
Are you talking about the black intelligent substance in outside the galaxy?
Yes, it comes from somewhere else, from what I understand. It comes from somewhere else. I'm still trying to figure that out.
So
it puts you in amnesia also. I've noticed that the more that you don't remember, it puts you in amnesia. It's sort of like a poison. It charms you. I noticed when I was small, I would see it on I would see people who abused their children. I would see it on murderers. I would see it on all sorts of people when they were very negative, I would see on them. And it would express, I had instances where I would talk to somebody and then they would say certain words, and then I'd go down the road and talk to somebody else and they would continue the conversation because it was that same energy speaking through these people that it had hacked into. So it's an intelligent life that literally can hack into people, and it can use them as their puppets. What it does essentially, it puts you or your soul energy in a sort of box inside you where it feeds off of it, and it stays in your body and expresses. It's why we have so many murderers, child molesters, and things like that out there.
So explain how you were exposed to it. You told me that you
when
were
I was
injected with this. When
I was littler, I had an instance where I was injected with it, and I have the full memory of being injected with it. It's black welly. When they do inject it with you, they sort of black welly. It does crawl. It seems to be I could say maybe advanced nanotechnology, because it does crawl around, and it's very, very it's intelligent life. I was injected with it, and apparently they were doing injections on us kids because there was a group of kids that had survived. These group of kids, they were doing all sorts of things on us, test on us to see if we.
What happened?
It started when I was a small child. I would always remember being in underground bases or taking away from my family, and my family wasn't aware of it, but there was many things that happened when I was small that wasn't normal. So I'm aware that I was made for the abilities. I maybe like because I'm psychic, I can touch an object and literally get the memory of the object or access the place where the object is. There's all sorts of abilities I have. Anyhow, as children, there was a lot of children, and they tested on the...
What type of children?
You know, from what I understand, the lady had told me thousands of children were taken, and only not more than a dozen survived.
What type of children? Were there different qualities of children?
Yes, they took them. They took them specifically from bloodline. They were bloodliner children, specifically.
What bloodline?
You know what? All the way from African royal bloodline, all the way from different royal bloodlines, German royal bloodline, French royal bloodlines. It was to see which ones would survive and not break. and which ones they could upgrade to a point where they could literally use these children and the abilities that they have and also enhance those abilities. However, the thousands they did it to, there was only, from what I understand, no more than a dozen that came out okay. If okay, a lot of other ones, they didn't all die, the thousands, but they went out mental or some sort of things were physically wrong with them. What they were looking for is a person who didn't break physically, mentally, and a person who actually became stronger from it.
So this has happened to you?
This has happened to me. It made me stronger instead of breaking me.
So what happened with the how did they inject this thing to you?
You know what? If I remember that it was injected into my bone marrow. I remember, right? Yes, it was injected into my bone marrow. I remember my eyes. I woke up, and I had just awakened up from having what seemed like a dream of being injected with this black goo, and it was very painful. It was very, very painful, by the way.
What kind of pain?
It was horrible pain. I can't express to you. They had to tie. You were tied with metal because of the fact that the pain that you went through. Would put an adrenaline rush so that you would move, but you were tied down with metal around the different parts onto this metal bed, essentially, and then they injected you. And the thing is that the pain was really horrible. I woke. It's like I woke from sleeping. I had this memory of that. I woke from sleeping, and my nose was bleeding really bad. I had really bloody nose, blood in my mouth. I went to the bathroom, and I was just young, really young. I was like 13 or 14 back then. I just walked, and I remember I looked at my eyes, and my eyes started to get really, 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 really black. And I felt like I was being pulled.
When you say your eyes went black, are you talking about the pupil?
The whole. What happened is I started to feel like I was being pulled into a black hole. Like I was being absorbed by a black hole into a pit. And it was uttermost despair, and every emotion I could think of, every bad emotion, to the point of it was like the deepest fear I've ever had. And I was going there, and I thought, I don't know what's happening to me. Like I'm being pulled in this black hole. At the last instant, I thought, I'm trying to hold on to myself and fighting with this thing. At the last instant, I was like, felt total peace. Like, I need to have peace in this. I felt peace. Like, well, this is what's going to happen. I had just have immense peace. And suddenly it let go. But when I had looked in the mirror, my eyes had turned all black, and then suddenly the black left.
How did it leave?
The black just stopped. Like I had an instance where it would crawl. My skin would move because it would crawl, and in the top of my mouth it would crawl. It'd crawl in all the time. My skin would crawl all the time with it, and I literally could feel it crawling inside of me. Well, like around a day after that,
Okay, Rachel, we had a battery run out there.
That's okay.
What we want to do is go back into the time you were exposed to this material and exactly how you felt.
Okay. When I was exposed to it, I was injected with it, and of course I was tied, or these clamps were put over on metal tables, and I was injected with it in my bone marrow. It has always to do somehow inside of the bone. I'm not quite sure why.
I think the blood is manufactured in the
Yes, this is true. I have this memory of it being injected. I was in tremendous pain, and then after that, what happened was I woke up, and I was probably like 13 and a half, 14 years old. I woke up, and when I woke up, my nose was bleeding really, really bad. And I walked to the bathroom, and I felt like I was being pulled. I was right in front of the mirror, and I felt like I was being pulled into a black hole. Almost like they talk about black holes, that just suck in everything and suck it in. I felt like that. And I looked in the mirror at my eyes, and my eyes started turning all black, as this thing was taking me over. And it was the most terrifying feeling I have ever had. Even to this day, when I think about it, I still have a somewhat terrified feeling about it. I started to try to fight with this thing, and I was fighting as hard as I could possibly fight with it, of trying not to let it take over me. And I guess I came to a point of desperation. It was almost like being pulled into a black hole and trying to hold on. And whenever I was being pulled into this black hole, I got such deep emotions of fear. I was terrified. Just the deepest, worst emotions that I have ever felt that were very, very negative. So it was also trying to break me in that way. It was trying to give me these emotions so that I would let go because I was terrified. That instant, I decided that I should stop giving in to it, what it was doing to me on a spiritual level, and I decided to pull in inner peace inside of myself, which I've been able to do since a child, sort of peace and calm, because I understand in the end that I have a connection direct to Source, which I guess people would call God, which isn't even the right word for it at all, because it isn't a being sitting up in heaven, but divine source of all. So I got this inner calm, and then suddenly it let go of me, and I was fine after that. The next day.
How did it let go? What happened?
You know, it just instant. Let go of me. Just instant. That moment when I would not accept everything that was trying to push onto me, it just let go of me. I did feel it crawling through, like it was trying to get out of my body after that. It was crawling. I would see my skin would move. It would move everywhere I had where it come down in my mouth. It was trying to get out of my body. I would even see it sometimes go right across my eye, some of it. It was trying to get out of my body after that. And it wasn't getting the energy from me, so it was dying. Okay, so I do believe that's somewhat nanotech, and that it lives off of the body's energy, bioelectric energy.
Say it was nanotechnology implies it was an artificially created.
I do think that maybe I'm still trying to figure out what this stuff is, but the way it acts, it has to have an energy source, or it's...
Now this has obviously happened quite a long time ago.
It did.
You're a very fine young lady now.
Thank you.
What length of time are we talking about?
Oh, it's been when I was like 13 and a half years old, 14. I'm 27 now, so it's been quite a long time. I have a problem with timelines.
You're
because
maybe the late 90s.
Yes.
Where was this taking place?
Huh?
Where was this taking place?
You know, whenever
Where was home for you?
this was taking place, I was in Idaho when this was taking place, actually, from what I remember right. I do have a problem with time and timelines because of the fact of everything in my head that happened to me, and it seems like they have some control over time, and they're able to manipulate time, as to whereas you maybe... This presence, and I think it has to tie in, it ties into the whole Gnostic teachings on the archons, and it ties into the whole thing that they have the really black eyes. They were filled with this black goo, apparently. Whenever I've heard that some people say that they are filled with that black goo inside of them. This is quite...
What's this Gnostic teachings of it?
The Gnostic teachings were that about the archons, that the archons can only live in an acidic body, and that they would absorb the energy and live off of that energy. They cannot live in an alkaline body. Thus, that's why you have all society that is the food is all acidic to make the human body acidic so they can live in the body. Certain meats, yes. So that everything from fluoride, everything is all about making the body acidic so that the entity can live in your body. When your body's alkaline, it cannot do that. It can't attach to your body because your defenses are all up, and it cannot. Or when you're acidic, you have holes in your aura. You have different holes in your energetic body so that it can enter and literally stay in there.
Getting back to this goo, you're talking about this happened in bases in Idaho?
I think I was in Idaho back then when it happened. I have somewhat of a, when it comes to timelines, very hard time. It did get out of me. What happened, it spent like maybe a day and a half, 2 days climbing around inside of me, and I could feel it. And then I started to vomit. Probably like the next evening, I started to vomit. My nose started to bleed, and it started to come out of me. So it came out every way possible. It made me quite weak. I was quite weak when that happened, and very, 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 very frail. But it came out of me. From what I understand, it wasn't able to literally take me over at all. I rejected it consciously, and on it, I reject it consciously now to take me over. Also, it was what it was doing. It's very intelligent life form, because it was actually putting emotions, making me think that me being really in fear and stuff was all my own emotions. But it was upgrading them. That means that if you said fear, it would do it like making you feel it 1,000 times more. So it was like it would, all the negative emotions of being terrified it would make you feel it like 1,000 times more than that. So you were really like, it was so it could shake you to the point of where you wanted to let go. You essentially, and then it could take you over. But I didn't. When it got to that point, I started to realize that these are not my own emotions. I'm such a fighter. I'm like, these are not my own emotions. This isn't going to take me over. And I'm aware that I connected to source of all. And whenever I came to inner peace about all these things, it was like, I'm not afraid of it anymore. That's when it let go.
So you broke it?
Yes. This stuff is contained within a well in the earth, within the what we make gas with and everything. So what they're doing is the cars, you know how they exhaust, they put it into the air. So you're breathing this stuff every day in small doses. And so they're building, that's another way they're putting it into human bodies.
Yeah, this is something very important. So it's in the oil.
It's in the oil, and that's why we are not doing clean energy, because it's being put in the cars, which then goes into the air, so you're breathing it. If you look at most shampoo products, hair products, makeup products, even food nowadays, you will find petroleum additives. It's that's in it. They put it in everything, from plastic, the plastic of a baby bottle. It's all inside of everything. So we're being bombarded with this stuff by every way possible. In the air, they're doing it every way possible. They're bombarded with. There's even put petroleum additives in a lot of food in the United States, I've noticed. In all shampoo products, all hair products. So we're being bombarded with it every way possible. And the thing is I'm realizing that it's much on a deeper scale. As I start to see and talk to people more, it's much on a deeper scale than I thought it was. When I was younger, I had this dream that the whole world was taken over by this black goo, and I had closed myself into this little thing, and I was just terrified because everything was being taken over. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the last of humanity right now, and I don't want. We are in the final stages of humanity. Humanity will, and I'm sorry to say this, but humanity, if we don't do something now about this, humanity has no hope in the future. And this thing will not stop here. When your soul goes up, or your soul energy, what you call it, goes into a higher realm, this stuff is chasing us, literally taking the energy from humanity and chasing into the higher realms. It's sort of like a computer virus. This is an attack on every living form that there is, every living thing that there is, in every different vibration, because with each vibration there's different living forms on the whole system. This thing has no compassion, no love. It just absorbs. It doesn't care. So
is that why 95% of the solar of the universe is black?
Yes. Also, I want to point out one thing about that. It's said that it comes from the abyss darkness, and it's funny because in the Bible they say the abyss. I'm not Christian or anything because I have no religion. But funny, but the abyss is not the middle of the earth. It's space.
So Rachel, you have survived this black substance.
The reason that I survived this is because a lot of things happened to me, but I came to Earth knowing about this substance, and a group came to Earth.
What do you mean you came to Earth knowing about this?
This isn't anything about the Galactic Federation or anything, because I don't give a crap about all the New Age stuff or anything. I don't care about any of that stuff, but I'm saying that there is a much higher council, and they did have seen what's going on, and they were very worried, and that's why certain beings came to this earth personally to stop it at the source, because this is the only place we can stop it at. Because if it gets past this to higher dimensions, we're in big trouble. everybody. Because see, when the body dies, the soul is essentially energy, and if that energy is being used over and over and over again, it's being surfed on to get to higher dimensions. It's being used to get to higher dimensions. Essentially, they're hacking higher dimensions with the energy of humanity. That's why it has to be stopped here.
Now, is this to do with the super soldiers? Is that what the super soldiers is really all about?
Yes. I would say that there's an opposing force to this. There's some other species that is absolutely terrified of this. And they were made, I guess you could say, super soldiers. I like to say maybe multi-dimensional or it's hard to say. I guess maybe I can explain it. I can do different things such as remote view. I'm telepathic. I can read people. I can do lots of different things. I think they were created by an opposing force that's not all positive either, to oppose this stuff. And also they're testing to see if they can't make them immune to this stuff. I have one, for instance, where one New Year's ago, I had a run-in with a lady that was supposed to have been one of what you call my watchers, or she was one of the ones who helped genetically create me. She was involved in that program where I was genetically created, and she.
Sorry, are you a test tube?
Yes, I have the memories of coming from a test tube. So it's quite interesting. This has to do with what I'm saying is, there was this lady that came to me on New Year's, and she was like speaking to me strangely, and I went home and suddenly I found myself in an underground base, and she was sitting at a desk and she was explaining to me that I was made in a test tube, then put into my mother, and my mother was just a carrier, and that my brothers and sisters weren't my brothers and sisters, but this was a whole genetic test to see which blood, like my brothers and sisters are all different, to see which would not break and which would be immune to this. Well, she also showed me that apparently they could spit out, the reptilians or the higher draconians spit out some sort of acid, and it can burn the human etheric body, but it won't. Like those of us that were genetically created, we don't get burned. Our etheric body doesn't get burned.
So you're designed to deal with the reptilians as well?
Well, what she told me is that they made the ultimate weapon, and we were the ultimate weapon, and it was to oppose this, that they were terrified of. Now, I'm not quite sure how that works, but she also explained to me that not many were immune and not many had survived it, but they did try all different bloodlines of the world to see which ones were immune to this substance. So they're actually afraid of it themselves. There's opposing factors also that are trying to fight this stuff off. It's not just in one hole. Who has
created the black goo? What's its king? What's its source? It's intelligent. It's got an agenda. What's its accomplishment?
You know, I'm not quite sure, but you know, I don't watch too many movies and I don't watch TV, but I did figure out something with Ghostbusters movie. There's this black goo, or maybe it's purple. There's this goo in it. I've watched this movie like a couple of years ago. There's this goo in it. It's in the middle of the earth like a well, and it comes out. Actually, I think it is black. It comes out and it takes over everybody in the end, and takes over everybody. And everybody's acting negatively. They're murdering each other. It's really bad in Ghostbusters. And then suddenly it's like he realizes to conquer it was through love. Literally through love. Yeah. And essentially what he insinuated in the movie when the main actor was speaking, he was talking about, he insinuated is that our negative emotions went into the earth and created that black stuff, gave life to it, because we are creators. What we think happens. We animate whether we know it or not. Yeah. And it had come out and was then overtaken us. So we had given life to it with our energy.
By controlling our consciousness, we are being used to manufacture a thing like that.
Yes. And this happened on other worlds. Now I can tell you that some of the people that had spoken to me, that with the whole underground base thing, because I know different people, some of them, I know one man who worked in there, and he had actually, one time I was very badly hurt, and I was put inside of this sort of like coughing looking thing, like, you know, from in ancient Egypt. And it healed me right away. It healed me. And yeah, it's some technology they have. I've been talking to different people about this, and they're currently aware. Some of them are aware of this, and they're aware of this substance, and that the government is using it to try to make also synthetic things. That's where you have the whole transhumanism, where they're trying to make robots that act just like us, and it's from using that. It's synthetic intelligence that they're trying to, how would you put that? They're trying to, synthetic. They're trying to use this to make these robots. They're trying to control it too, and it's uncontrollable. That's the thing with it.
How do these cyborg robot beings, transhumanized beings, or whatever they are, how do they fit in with stopping the goo?
Well, from what I understand, I was, me and a couple other ones here that I won't say names, we were made by these elite families to be their protectors when all this happens. Because we are the only ones who could protect them.
We're here with Michael Prince. We're here at the Super Soldier Summit. And you've got some very close friends.
Yes, I remember Casbolt and Max and some others from inside the program. So I'm aware of them.
You're talking about the IBIS program?
Yes, it's quite interesting, the whole thing in Canada and stuff. It's quite interesting.
Can you explain it? Can you say anything about that?
I don't really want to speak too much about that, but I can confirm that they are taking groups of kids like that and doing what he stated. They're testing on them for all sorts of different things. I remember one instance.
Why do you not want to speak about it if he's spoken about it?
There's a couple of different reasons. There's a couple of different reasons. I know you will. I can confirm that, yes, we were put in cages with animals. I was put in cage with a snake, a huge snake, of which I had to fight off this snake.
What type of snake?
Oh my gosh, it was huge. No. I'm talking about a very large snake.
That's a python or something.
You know, I'm not even sure that this snake can swallow you whole.
Yeah.
That's yes. And I had to fight it off. I have memories of that quite well. That was not a good experience. I don't like snakes, so.
I don't think it would be a very good experience.
I have interesting memories of the Queen of England, and when I was used there for ritual abuse, because I grew up partly in France also, so I was brought there and used for ritual abuse. I have a memory where I was tied to an altar, and there were also people at an altar, and it was round, almost like Stonehenge-like. I was tied to an altar, the center altar, and there was a person tied on top of me and enchained. The arms were enchained, and we were enchained. He was on top of me, and I was quite younger at that age. And the Queen came out. She transformed and literally shapeshifted, and she came, and there were some of with her, but I'm supposing the ones under her, and they went to the other altars with the other people tied on them, on the altars, and she came up to where the altar was, where I was, and she bent down, and she literally ripped out. She had shapeshifted before she bent down, though, huge, and she ripped out the guy on top of me. She ripped out his inners, directly his heart, just ripped it out. I'm a large dragon, not quite dragon. It's hard to explain. Draconian, more draconian-like looking. They're quite large, and she's very, very large. She claws, or very, very large claws. I remember she just ripped at him and literally ripped his heart out, and the blood came over me. And as she did that, so did the ones around. They did the same thing to the people around.
She gave the lead.
Yes, and
who were the others?
You know, I just remember seeing her, because the way I was put down, the way I was like down, I remember seeing her, and the other was dressed in cloaks also. Like they seemed to be dressed in maybe a druidic priest sort of cloak.
What color?
I think dark black. It was black and a dark red, if I remember right. It was dark black with red, some red on it. And I remember that happened to me, and I felt like they were trying to break me also and put an energy in me, terrorize me to the point they were seeing what point I could go to. Also, they were making an energetic connection to me.
But I suspect you didn't get terrified.
You know what? I was just there, and I felt the pain because I'm so empathic. I felt the terror of the people around me and the terror of the person that had just died on top of me. And I felt like they were trying to break into me like that. Like they were trying to see if I would become terrified or not. And they were also trying to put their energy, they were trying to energetically bond me with them. So that, and I understand how they speak. I can hear when they speak. Certain people speak to me and I know it's them, and I can hear how they speak, and I wonder it's because of that whole energy thing that happened with me. Somehow something happened to me that I can understand and know and see them and even understand their language, and I'm not sure if they did that purposely or what they were trying to do there.
What kind of speech characteristics?
You know, I think not long ago Max was showing me the Harry Potter snake voice. That's exactly the same thing. That's how they speak. That was quite interesting, because it's like they put it right in front of you and it's sitting right there, and people think it's fantasy, but it's really not fantasy. It's real, and it's really horrible, because all the things that are happening to children, to people are being sacrificed every single day. People are being taken from their homes. They're being sacrificed. Not their energy. Their energy is being taken. Not only that, they're being used as human guinea pigs. Not only that, they're being used as literally cattle. Humanity doesn't. It's really a victim to all these things going on. However, they're so asleep that it's hard for them to understand these things are going on. It's quite shocking for them. You know, I think how we got out of this is it's no use playing the victim mode, obviously, because that just makes them take more advantage of us. And I don't think that we need to be looking like, oh, the aliens are going to come save us, or angels or anything like that, because that's the whole thing with religion. It's like, you can do this and this and this, and well, you know, it gives you a sort of false, like, all this is going to come save you at the end. It fails to tell you that you have choice. And no matter what religion you are, you can say, hey, blame it on God, blame it on Satan. What? No, you're the one who has the choice. That's the thing. The thing is that I think if we started working on ourselves, you know, we were given bodies, and if we can't even take care of our bodies, like keep giving it good food and taking care of it and stuff like that, it leaves us, our bodies are not, it keeps us asleep. So we're asleep to all of these things that are happening. I think to be able to awaken, you should start working on yourself. You know, start to reconnect with yourself. Start to meditate. Start to eat good. Start to look around and start to get involved. Start to realize that that the economy is down right now, that they're using that also to absorb energy massively from the masses, because people don't have jobs. People are having it hard nowadays, really, really hard. They can't feed themselves or their children. People need to start getting involved with each other, start having more compassion, more kindness, more love, more care. And those are simple human things that we should have towards each other. And once we start to do those simple things towards each other, start to really truly care of what's going on, I think that this presence won't be able to mess with us anymore, and it'll be put back down. It will be thrown back down into the lower depths where it came from. I think that this isn't a wake-up call. It's sort of like when you're sick, your body's telling you there's something wrong. This is a wake-up call. It's trying to tell us, humanity, something is wrong right now, and if you don't take care of it now, it's going to overtake you. Your own creation is going to overtake you. And I believe that we feed this stuff with all of our negativity. If we start to be more kind and compassionate, then it'll be fine in the end. But I think it's pretty much just, that's about it. That's how we'll be fine in the end, is when we start to really care, especially for the children of the world, because children of the world are what is our hope. They're what's precious. We need to start getting more involved with children. We need to start spending more time with them. We need to start teaching them things of essence. I mean, getting our children to plant things, to stop watching so much television and being programmed themselves.
Very much.
It was nice speaking with you, Miles.
We had a wonderful radio ship called Radio Caroline, and they transmitted loving awareness. Maybe that's something
This it. You know what? With the whole Saturn thing, it took over every other chakra, but there's one chakra it can't take over, and that's the heart love, the green chakra. And that's why it tries so hard to break it all the time. It's because that love can never, love is something that is very, very special. It can never, ever, ever be in bondage. It never can be manipulated. People say they're in love and broke hearts. Actually, they're not really in love. See, this is the thing. People are working off of the other chakras. They're not working on the true, unconditional love, which comes from their green heart chakra. But however, the program makes them think that they're working from that, but they're not. When you really start working from your heart chakra and start caring, you start becoming awake. And a lot of people need to start doing that. Unconditional love. It really does change everything.
I think that's absolutely fantastic.
It is. It's like the simplest answer to everything is right in front of us if we just let our egos go and start exercising it. We're not going to win this war with knives or guns or the most high technology we can achieve, or off-world technology or whatever. We are going to win this war with love. And that's the simplest, always the answer is always the simplest thing. And the answer has been given to every single human being, and it's here inside of their heart. And when you connect with yourself, you will understand that in the end, everything is going to be okay. It really is going to be okay. We just need to understand that this whole thing that's happening is actually going to wake us up, I think, into a better era where we will start to understand and start to really wake up, because we need to, for everybody, even the children, which are very, very special. They're very serious matters, and I can just, stay like the rest of everybody, and I know so many things, and it's like I see everything that happens every day, and I feel that it's a crime against humanity to not say these things and not make others aware of these things. For me, it would be a huge karmic debt if I didn't do this, if I didn't speak about it.
For you to survive this far, what you've done, it must mean you're a pretty tough cookie underneath.
I've survived a lot of things, people look at me and they would never ever realize what I've been through, and I don't even want to explain what I've been through, but I can tell you this, that throughout everything that I survived, it's because I remembered love. And there was days where I didn't have anything, and I was in the worst situation. I was just a little child, and I would wake up and I'd look at the sun every morning, and I just have so much heart love and be so happy and smiling. A person would be like, why are you smiling? And you're not allowed to smile. Why do you smile? And I would explain to them, because I feel love, and that is very, very important to me. All this time, I think I have survived because of the fact that my heart is open, and I really do care about people, and I really, really, really see that others, the really sad thing, people aren't working from their heart. They're working from their ego or from other things, and it messes them up. And if everybody would just start opening their hearts and being kind and compassionate and caring, it's not no religion to do those things. It's something normal that we have forgot to do. If we do those more often, the world would be a much better place for us and our children.
Well, I think those are wonderful goals. So
those are wonderful goals for humanity.
Yeah.
They are.
And this applies to all life.
This applies to all life forms, actually. It really does.
This dimension and related dimensions.
The whole thing is that karmically, people need to, when they wake up karmically, if you know about these things, you need to speak about them, because otherwise you will be in karmic debt if you do not speak about them. That's the thing, because of the fact that it's on your soul, and either you're going to help out humanity or you're going to help keep them asleep. So one day I posted the other day, I was like, I see brilliant people, gifted people, and they use their abilities, you know, for negativity. If they use them for a positive, that's like a crime against society, against humanity, to use your abilities or what you know against them instead of helping them out. If we just had the brilliant people in this world, it wouldn't take all that many start to stand up and say something. The world would really change into a different direction, a very positive direction.
Any other final words?
That's it. I need to go get some coffee.
Okay.